Thanks for choosing KUTV News at 9 to keep you informed tonight on the second day of July. We'll begin with the highlights. A man in Kisii lynched after gruesome murder of his wife. Requiem mass held for teacher Albert Ojwang ahead of Homa Bay burial. 8 arrested, more than 7,000 bags of fertilizer recovered after Maua NCPB looting. And Muslim leaders reject ruling on inheritance for children born out of wedlock.
This is KUTV Primetime News with Yvonne Kemuma.
On the sign language interpretation, we have Brian Peru engaged with us on X at KUTV_Kenya, at Kemuma_Monari. We are streaming live on YouTube at KUTV News Kenya. We'll begin. Now, a fatal collision occurred on the Mwea Embu Highway involving a motorcycle and a matatu near the research area in Kirinyaga County. The motorcycle that was carrying a rider and 2 female passengers veered into the opposite lane and crashed head-on with the matatu. All 3 motorcycle occupants died on the spot. The victims' bodies were taken to Kerugoya mortuary while both vehicles were impounded at Sagana police station. This accident raises serious concerns about road safety in the area. Now, to yet another tragic story, a horrifying incident has rocked Sugubo village in Kisii County, where a man believed to be over 50 years old allegedly killed his wife, fed her remains to his children, and was later lynched by angry villagers. The community's worst fears were confirmed when body parts were discovered inside his home. Our reporter Anyango Sylvia has the details.
Shock and grief engulfed Sagubo village in Nyacheki ward, Kisii County, after Stephen Onsero, a man with a dark past, was accused of brutally murdering his second wife and later feeding on her flesh. Residents became suspicious after noticing his wife had been missing for days, yet Onsero continued moving around with his 2 children.
Mtu alikuwa wa boma, unasikia kelele. Hii kelele ikosa usizimuuliza wewe mwenyewe ameenda wapi? Ndio watu waanza kufuatilia. Kufuatilia kaenda wakampata mali yako, tuambie fulani yako wapi. Kwa kufika hapa nasema uacha tu nipeleke polisi, nifikirie mpaka mniweke polisi ndio nifikirie nimwambie mali yako.
Their fears deepened when they recalled Onsero had previously killed his first wife in the year 2007 and was released from prison just 2 years ago.
Hiyo jamaa ametusangaza na matendo yake hapa. Sana. Aliwa bibi ya kwanza na huyu ni wa pili. Sasa huyu jamaa ametuzina na hapa kabisa.
Failing to explain his current wife's whereabouts, villagers interrogated his children, who say their father claimed she had gone to visit her relatives. Unable to get convincing answers, the villagers stormed his home, only to uncover a decomposing limb and a human skull. The angry crowd never made it to the police station. Instead, they lynched Onsero on the spot. Nyamacha Sub-County Police Commander Kip Kulei confirmed the incident, saying the case has been handed over to the Directorate of Criminal Investigation. The remains were taken to Kisii Teaching and Referral Hospital for post-mortem.
The community decided to go and ransack the home, and they actually found the body of some parts, the mutilated part of the body, which is expected to be there for the wife of the owner of that home, Mr. Stephen Onsero, who is also deceased after the members of the public just beat him and they killed him in the process, and they burned the body.
A good Samaritan, Yvonne Bosibori, has taken in the children, a boy and a girl aged 4 and 14 respectively, as investigations begin. Sadly, they claim that at the young age, the girl is already impregnated.
Mtoto hata alimfanyia vibaya sana. Ndio alimfanyia matiuzi, hata nimesikia alimpatia mimba. Akona mimba sitiri, tayari akona mimba ya mtoto.
Nataka serikali inisaidie. Ichukue itafute njia ichukue huyu watoto.
Police are urging residents to report suspicious behavior in their communities to prevent similar tragedies. Anyango Sylvia, KUTV.
Now, the requiem mass for teacher and blogger Albert Ojwang was held today at Ridgeways Baptist Church in Nairobi. Ojwang's body is expected to be airlifted to his home in Homa Bay on Friday, the 4th July for burial.
The family, friends and colleagues of the late Albert Ojwang gathered today at Ridgeways Baptist Church in Nairobi to pay the last respect during a solemn requiem mass held on Wednesday morning. Speaking during the mass, Albert father Meshach Ojwang expressed profound grief following the cruel death of his only son.
Nataka niseme ya kwamba damu hiyo ya Albert ambayo imemwagika bila hatia, walio na uwezo kuona kwamba wanachukua damu ya maisha ya wenzi wao na kumwaga damu ili wabakie katika hali yao na kuficha uovu wao, basi wajue kwamba watabaki na heshima, watabaki na utajiri na sifa za aina yote, lakini hawatakuwa na amani katika maisha yao.
However, he thanked and requested Kenyans to stand with his family during this difficult time as they await to see justice for their kin. While condoling her husband, Nevnina Anyango described Albert as a courageous person, aligning her sentiments with the career path as a teacher. Nevnina further urged those present to carry on Albert's legacy by embracing kindness, resilience, and service to others.
He has always told me to be courageous, so I just want to stand strong for the sake of our son, the mom, the dad, and even other people.
And move on. We must say as a country, never again.
Albert Ojwang died on the evening of Thursday, June 27, 2025, while in custody at the Central Police Station in Nairobi. His death occurred shortly after his arrest by officers from the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, DCI, who had apprehended him earlier that day at his home in Mawego, Homa Bay County. Stephen Masha, KUTV, Nairobi.
Now, Deputy President Kithure Kindiki has continued with his support for empowerment programs that have been ongoing in various regions across the country. During today's economic empowerment in Garsen, Tana River County, Kindiki maintained that the program is not political but a means of uniting Kenyans.
Kindiki! Hey! Yes!
The clarion call for unity across the country has been intensified by leaders allied to the government, led by Deputy President Kithure Kindiki during an empowerment program to citizens in Garsen and Tana River County. The leaders affirmed the state's responsibility to support its citizens while in office and not just during campaigns as it has been witnessed in the past.
Na mambo ya ukabila hatutakubali tena Kenya hii yetu. Na wale watu ya ukabila kwa sababu watakuja hapa. Si mnajua watu ya ukabila? Watakuja hapa Garsen, watakuja Bura, watakuja Galole kule Hola. Wakikuja muambie Kenya ni moja, taifa letu ni moja, hatutaki maneno ya ukabila. Kweli si kweli jameni? Wacha nione wale wanasema taifa letu ni nchi moja jameni.
President Ruto's right-hand man Farouk Kibet on his part called out leaders of supporting tribal politics in the rallies. He stressed on the need for leaders to focus on national development. This is even as other leaders emphasize the importance of transparency and citizen participation in developing the projects, which include infrastructure, funding for youth, and expansion of social services.
Huyu mbunge wenu tumekuja ili tufanyie nyinyi kazi.
Na sisi tumekuja kwa sababu ukiinua mama umeinua taifa. Tunasema mama kwanza, mwanaume baadaye. Mama kwanza, kwa sababu mama akilisha boma mambo inaenda sawa sawa. Ni hivyo sivyo? Nyinyi
kuna mrengo ya kwanza ambayo iko na pesa, na pesa hiyo wanatumia kuwatafuta vijana, kuwanywesha pombe ili kuleta zogo na fujo kwa barabara, kwa maandamano ambayo yanaharibu biashara ya Wakenya wale wengine wote. Na pia kuna muungano wetu ambao tumeamua sisi ni wanademokrasia. Kazi yetu ni kuchukua pesa yetu ili kuwasaidia na kuwafaidi biashara ya kina mama.
The leaders promised that every Kenyan, regardless of tribal region, must benefit from government empowerment programs. The narrative is, however, not so popular among the opposition leaders, who believe that the state is using state money for the program, which they believe is a launch of early 2027 campaigns. Edna Nerea, KUTV.
Now, during the London Stock Exchange, President William Ruto, while addressing investors, urged for stronger financial partnerships with Africa, emphasizing Kenya's readiness to attract global capital and drive inclusive, green and innovation-led economic growth across the continent.
A high-end Africa debate attended by President William Ruto, Group CEO David Screamer, Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi, National Treasury and Economic Planning John Badi, and key investors in Guildhall, London, marked the official launch of the London Stock Exchange Africa Debate, an influential forum bringing together African and international business leaders, investors and policymakers.
Include some of the sharpest to the stage, the Chief Executive.
In his keynote address, President William Ruto positioned Kenya as a gateway to Africa's economic transformation and called capital markets the engine of development for emerging economies across the continent. President Ruto positioned Kenya and Africa as the next investment frontier, citing transparent, digitized and reforms-driven financial systems that inspire investor confidence and deliver sustainable returns.
The leading drivers of value creation in these economies are no longer extractives or primary industries, but sectors that leverage knowledge, innovation, and human capital. This trend signals that the future of global economic competitiveness lies in investing in services, technology, and human capacity to innovate and solve complex challenges.
Backing on Africa's youthful population, growing urbanization and green resource base, Ruto underscored the urgency of channeling international finance into key sectors such as infrastructure, agri-tech, clean energy, and health and innovation.
And to venture into our continent. Being a democratic country, being a country based on the rule of law, and ensuring that every investor is assured of security of their investment, and ensuring that we have a stable economic space. We have, over the last 2 years, provided a predictable and stable economic environment where you can not only invest, but you can also repatriate your profits or your investment at will, anytime, without any difficulties.
Investors, on the other hand, praised Kenya's proactive approach to attracting global capital and its commitment to sustainable. Ruto's broader UK tour aimed at strengthening economic diplomacy, investment partnerships, and positioning Kenya as a competitive destination for global capital. Vincent Karoli, KUTV.
Now we will take our first break and then we'll be back with more reports from across the country.
Access to knowledge, solution to unanswered questions.
Guidelines to pursuing your rights and repossessing your property, intellectual or material. Matioi.
Jina langu naitwa Kemuma James.
This is Mandela Gaya.
Ugonjwa ulipokuja ulichukua siku 3 ukaniweka in coma. 20 wamezikwa, 2 ndio wako hai.
I don't even know how it feels to see.
I feel like I cannot express myself well the way somebody who can walk can actually express themselves.
Ilichukua muda mwingi mrefu tena mpana ili kuikubali kwamba mimi siwezi tembea tena.
I've come to actually accept myself.
Ukijaribu kumsimamisha mtu umwambie tafadhali nionyeshe njia,
they find it quite strange talking to you.
You should just make schools integrated,
inclusive setups,
by providing the right facilities.
You are watching KUTV Primetime News with Yvonne Kemuma.
And we are back on the sign language interpretation. We have Brian Peru. Continue engaging with us on X at KUTV_Kenya, at Kemuma_Monari. Let's continue. Now, 8 suspects have been arrested and part of more than 7,354 stolen bags of fertilizers recovered following the violent looting and vandalization of the National Cereals and Produce Board NCPB depot in Maua, Meru County. This was during last week's protest. Authorities have ordered CCTV installation in all NCPB depots nationwide to deter, document, and aid law enforcement.
The Maua incident, which occurred on June 25th, 2025, saw large crowds overwhelm the facility, looting fertilizer, cereals, and office property. Witnesses claim the raid was politically motivated, with one resident stating it was a big loss for farmers in the area. Many will now be forced to travel to Meru Town to access subsidized fertilizer and other services.
Wakamaliza hiyo wakaamua kachomeka yu, wakaenda na hiyo mabati yote, kachukua kile kitu. Ilichochewa kisiasa hiyo. Kwa maoni yangu, hii ilichochewa kisiasa. Sio kweli hii store ipunjwe na iborwe na ni store yetu. Hiyo ni makosa kubwa sana.
According to DCIO Maua Alex Wasike, the looters used motorbikes and pro-box vehicles to transport the stolen fertilizer. Some of the vehicles have since been impounded and investigations are ongoing.
4 items which were used in the conveyance of the stolen property, the stolen fertilizer. These are a motor vehicle, a pro-box, KCW 822T, which again we've presented to court.
OCPD Eliakim Silgicho Vigembe South noted that while police responded quickly, they were overwhelmed by the sheer size of the crowd and emphasized that such attacks in the future will be met with equal force. He further noted that there is no room for anarchy.
Pika kitu kama saa 7 hivi, ikawa waandamanaji wote ambao walikuwa wamekusanyika hii town, ikaonekana nia yao ilikuwa ni kuvamia cereal board peke yake na CDF. So wenye walikuwa wanajaribu kuchoma CDF waka retreat, wenye walikuwa kwa soko pale wakisumbua pia waka retreat, na wote waka converge pale kwa cereal board ambapo tulikuwa na over 3,000 people.
Depot manager Abenego Sangolo revealed that the extent of the damage far exceeds the initial estimated loss of 29 million, which only accounted for fertilizer. He told the media that looters torched the depot's main office, stole office stationery, cereals, and vandalized the mobile seed dryer, among others.
Then on the other side, before we go to the other side, our office equipments. That includes our desktops, our laptops, the printers, scanners, the files and cabinets, desks, chairs, that include the executive chair, were all taken away.
Local farmers and community members have condemned the attack, warning that it undermines critical government support programs in the region. The arrest and recovery efforts are ongoing as security agencies pursue more suspects and assess the full extent of the damage. Pesi Achola, KUTV, Nairobi.
Many thanks, Spacey Achola, for that report. Now let's continue. Health Cabinet Secretary Aden Duale has launched a nationwide immunization campaign to protect children from typhoid and measles, rubella. The campaign, which will run from the 5th of July to the 14th, targets children aged 9 months to 14 years. Kenya is battling a surge in drug-resistant typhoid and measles outbreak across 18 counties, with nearly 3,000 cases and 18 deaths reported. Duale says children aged between 9 to 59 months will receive the measles vaccine, while those up to 14 years will get the typhoid conjugate vaccine, which will now be part of routine immunization at 9 months.
It will be administered at 9 months, along with measles, rubella, and yellow fever vaccine in the relevant regions. This integration institutionalizes prevention, strengthening, and the resilience of our primary healthcare system.
We aim at reaching more than 22 million Kenyan children aged from 9 months to 14 years old. And this means that about 40% of the Kenyan population will be touched by what's going to happen from next Saturday onwards.
Now, 3 activists who are arrested on suspicion of fueling the violence during the Wednesday, June 25th protest have been granted a cash bail of 200,000 a week after the protest. Speaking on Wednesday, July 2nd, their lawyer revealed that the 3, John Mulingwa, Zao, Mark Amiani, and Mutenge Mwangi, would be released within the day. However, there have also been issues, several conditions by the magistrate, including desisting from activities that land them in jail, a condition that the lawyer admitted might be tough as they are human rights activists. The next mention of the case will be held on the 23rd of June.
Arrested without warrants and detained for more than 24 hours. 2, that they were non-human rights defenders based at Ruaraka social justice movement, hence were not a flight risk as alleged in the supporting affidavit. 3, that they had not been summoned by the deponent, thus could not be said to be fleeing arrest. 4, that there was no justification for the 21 days sought after in terms of a breakdown of the processes needed to be accomplished within the stated period. It is hereby ordered that the respondents be released on cash bail of 200,000 with a contact, that the respondents report to the investigating officer at Mdega Police Station every Mondays and Thursdays at 9 a.m. to facilitate the conduct of the investigations, that the respondents desist from utterances and activities akin to those under the subject investigations. This matter shall be mentioned on 23rd day of July this year for further direction. It is so ordered.
For the 3 suspects will be mentioned in July 23rd, not June as earlier stated. Now, let's continue. The Council of Imams and Preachers, CIPK, has opposed the new law that is permitting inheritance by children born out of wedlock from their father, with the argument that the decision contradicts Islamic law. The Council is calling for reassessment of the Supreme Court's ruling.
The Council of Imams and Preachers of Kenya, CIPK, fiercely opposed the law that was passed by the Supreme Court, allowing inheritance rights for children born out of wedlock. This was after the landmark case of Fatuma Athman Aboud Faraj versus Faith Mawasi and others. The CIPK's National Organization Secretary Sheikh Mohammed expressed deep frustration, accusing Supreme Court of overstepping by attempting to rival Islamic legal teachings.
Moja kwa moja ni kupita mstari mwekundu kwa Supreme Court na kupita kinyume na katiba ya Kenya iliyotoa uhuru wa kuabudu na vile vile kudharau mahakama ya kadhi. na pia vile kudharau maamuzi ya Mwenyezi Mungu ambao kwamba ndiye aliyeumba binadamu na akaumba na wao wa Supreme Court ndio wale pia na wao wameumbwa na Mungu na wanaelewa kuna kitabu cha Quran, Taurat, Injil na Zabur.
Moreover, CPK insisted that the authority of the Kadhi courts, which are constitutionally protected under Article 170, is being undermined. They advocated for the elevation of the Chief Kadhi's broader jurisdiction to oversee Muslim personal law matters such as inheritance, marriage, and divorce as outlined in the Constitution.
The Supreme Court decision has actually attempted to declare several provisions of our Constitution as unconstitutional, and they clearly have no jurisdiction or capacity to do so. The Supreme Court ruling, I end, is mischievous, disrespectful, insensitive, and geared towards social strife and must be vacated.
The CPK Treasurer Hassan Omar emphasized that Muslims strictly prohibits fornication and supports polygamy as a means to reduce instances of children born outside marriage. He noted that the ruling invalidates over 10 million Muslims in Kenya.
Kwanza, Uislamu kama dini imekataza na imekemea uzinifu za aina yote. Badala ya watu kufanya zina, Uislamu ameruhusu kuoa mke moja, 2, 3 mpaka 4. Yote ameweka Uislamu ili uzinifu na watoto wana haramu yasipatikane.
Despite their objectives, CIPK urged Muslims to continue turning to the Kadhi courts for matters relating to inheritance, marriage, personal status, and divorce, underscoring the importance of adhering to Islamic law within the community. Pesi Achola, KUTV, Nairobi.
Now we are off to the fields where Football Kenya Federation giants Gor Mahia FC have parted ways with their entire technical bench, including interim coach Zedekiah Ziko Otieno and security personnel, in a mutual consent. The shake-up comes just 2 days after Gor Mahia was stunned 2-1 by National Super League champions Nairobi United in the Football Kenya Federation Cup final at Ulinzi Complex, locking them out of continental showpiece next season. The restructure comes days after Gor announced the departure of their former head coach Sinisa Mihik in May, marking the beginning of a crucial rebuilding phase for Kogalo. Well, that is all the time we had for you tonight on KUTV's News at 9. As always, it is a pleasure having you on this broadcast, and I hope to see you many more times. For now, I'll let you enjoy the rest of your programming. I have been Yvonne Kemuma, and the sign language interpretation was Brian Peru. Have a good night.